What is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video we're doing a little bit of a showcase on the new Sugafest that will be coming to the global side of the game in the next couple of days. That is the new Legend King and Queen. So I thought we would showcase both King and Queen against the worst generation and have a bit of a chat about the pros and cons of the unit. Now, with these two characters comes the release of all of the hybrid-based content. So with King and Queen's dual Sugo release, comes the whole sort of mechanic, or not mechanic, the meta of hybriding up characters. Now, hybrid characters have always been good, especially for stuff like Kazuna, especially like getting a lot of damage output. But with the release of King and Queen, like, you can use these characters like side by side very, very easily, and it means you don't have to summon for both characters. Now, it's kind of a little bit of a loophole in my eyes for Bandai to release two Sugafest exclusives, make them really pretty and shiny, and just say, hey, look, you only really need one, because then you bring a friend captain, and you can just bring the other one, and you're pretty much good to go. Now, I'm a big fan of this particular unit. Like, I thought we'd start with King, because, like, a lot of people are hyped for King. I'm a bigger fan of Queen myself, but a lot of people are actually hyped for King, as he's a bit more of a cooler character, I guess is the best way to put it. Both of them work amazingly in tandem together, but King is basically another driven powerhouse quick unit. And I thought I'd talk about the pros and the cons, and whether you guys should summon for these particular units or not on the global side of the game against the worst generation. And the worst generation is a lot of fun because it's fun to cheese the worst generation, as well as it being like sort of like the hardest piece of content besides like stuff like Forest. Now, the gimmick that King and Queen actually have is they can actually auto trigger their special, provided you use an attack boost or an orb boost. So an orb boost with Queen and an attack boost with King. So if you use an attack boost on the previous turn, when you go into the next turn, King is actually going to auto trigger his special. They are a 5x captain to driven powerhouse and either quick or dex. So King is quick, Queen is dex, and they both make beneficial orbs. King makes int orbs beneficial, where Queen makes Sire orbs beneficial, as well as their matching color of quick and dex for their respective teams. They are both powerhouse-driven captains, which means you can sort of build out the team as powerhouse-driven, and they are very, very strong. 1.3 times captains, 1.3 times HP, as well as 5 times attack captains, so very, very powerful units. They also have the mechanic where they are, once you use their special, they do 500 times their attack as end of turn damage, and as you guys can kind of see there, they're actually turned into their Dino form when you use the special. So, pretty cool little like sprite change mechanic that they actually have, and it works. It just looks really, really cool. But the big thing about these particular units as well is they actually give cooldowns on their special. So King is actually an orb booster for his team. He's an orb booster for the two classes as well as his color being quick. And then if you on the next turn, he actually becomes a chain buff. So the way these characters work are you auto trigger their special. You use their special and then they auto trigger their special, and that way you can actually get an orb buff and then a chain boost. And then with Queen is like a hybrid captain, you get the attack and then the chain. I'll talk about that one until we get to there, but they're very intricate characters and they make team building a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun with them on JP, and they're very good at getting around stuff like resilience. They're very good at speedrunning content because they give cooldowns. If you can bring subs that can manipulate and supports especially, that can actually manipulate the sort of attack buff mechanic for King, it works really nicely. Characters like Shank's crew, amazing sub for King, because you can just switch, you get the attack boost that way and you're hunky-dory. You can use characters like Sobermask where you can just continuously spam that attack boost. You can use supports on characters that will just give attack boosts, like the Shiki special on the final stage and all that sort of stuff as well when you have revive mechanics. And it works really, really nicely. The thing with King and Queen is they output a lot of damage with their specials. They do a lot of damage on their special, as well as doing a lot of end of turn damage as well. And for the worst generation, it's just really cool because like we could just basically cheese our way through this because we get around the normal attacks with Versakine. So they are very cool units, but the big downside that I do find to them is actually running them as like the same captain. So running two Kings is usually a little bit of a yikes, but with this particular piece of content getting the captain swap, I thought it was a good chance to showcase the two of them together. But whenever I'm running King and Queen, like I'm always running, if I'm running King, I'm running a friend Queen. If I'm running Queen, I'm running a friend King. It's very, very rare that I'm actually running the two of the same unit, as because you get their auto trigger of their specials, it just feels like kind of a waste unless you are actually getting that damage output. But nevertheless, they are very good characters. They both have fear. King can give cooldowns as a sailor, so they do hold some viability as a sailor as well, and they are very, very strong. As you can see here, we've just sort of torn our way through the worst generation 11-star event in like less than 5 minutes, which is really, really cool. So we're going to wrap up the King part of the showcase, and then we're going to move on to Queen now. That's a lot of damage. Let's move on to Queen. Alright, so moving on to Queen now, and out of the two, Queen is actually my favorite. Mainly, I love the Funk Man, I love the Big Man, his art, everything about his character is just really cool. But the big thing that I like about Queen over King, I always get the two of them, like, just, these words are hard when it comes to saying the two of them in the same sentence. The big reason I like Queen over King is besides his dex classing, he basically just does everything that King does but better. So King being the orb booster, Queen is an attack booster, 2.5 times attack boost instead of a 2.5 times orb boost. King is a chain booster. Queen is a chain locker, starting at 2.5, going up to 35 times. Actually, I take it back. There's two things that King does better. With Queen, you have to hit 3 perfects to get the carryover of the chain lock. With King, you actually get the clock buff. The clock buff's infinitely better because you always get that carryover effect no matter what. With Queen, sometimes you just do too much damage and you actually don't get that carryover. But as you can see here, like, Queen actually ran this a little bit smoother, as you have access to, like, a few more cheesy stuff like Dofi, stuff like Kaido, and actually made this run just a lot of fun. This run was so much fun. Actually, both of them were actually really, really fun to run, as they both could just cheese their way through the the Garp challenge, Worst Generation 11 star, thanks to the burn mechanics of Akainu and Sabo. It was really, really fun. Like, it was really, really fun, and it was a really good showcase of what these characters can actually do. When you put them in the right situation, these characters can shine. And if you guys haven't seen it already, I have done the rehash of the Halloween events, where I actually have used both King and Queen in their hybrid forms. And that's another really good showcase for you guys, for you Globarians, if you're watching this video. Make sure to go back there and actually check it out, because King and Queen, like, when you put them in the right situation and you make the team work, like, they are so much fun to use. So much fun to use. But as I was saying, Queen kind of just does everything that King does better. He's the attack booster, which is better than an orb boost. He's a chain locker, which is stereotypically better than a chain booster, especially because he starts at 2.5 going upwards. But he does give that perfect, like, attack. He is a dex character, so you do have sort of a different viability of subs. But as I was saying with King, you never really want to run 2 Queens. Like, ideally, you want to be running, like, Queen and then, like, say, versus Akainu. You want to run Queen and King. You want to run like, hybrid options when it comes to these characters, and that's what the meta is sort of shifting into, the whole hybrid meta, which is a lot of fun. I actually really enjoy it. The only downside to that is finding friend captains, especially on my JP account. Like, finding friend captains if I don't have the legend can be very, very tricky. And what I mean by that is, if I, like, want to build a team and, like, I'm like, alright, for this team to work, I need to bring a friend King, and I can't find a friend King, I have to use, like, the Bandai one. It just becomes very finicky, and, like, sometimes the run doesn't work as smooth as I want it to. It can take longer, and the idea of King and Queen, they are meant to be speed captains, because the idea of them are, you're meant to sort of auto-trigger their special. They give cooldowns to the crew and themselves when you do trigger their specials, and then what basically happens from there is you just get a whole bunch of damage output. If you have 2 of them together, you just get, like, the auto-trigger, and then you can use their specials, and you can just do some really, really, really cool things. They both do have super typings as well. That is something I forgot to mention. Queen super typing, as long as you use an orb boost, you can activate the super typing, which just gives you a full board of dex orbs, which he actually makes beneficial as a captain. And with King, as long as you use an attack boost, he gives you a full board of quick orbs, which he makes beneficial as a captain as well. They both have very good supports as well, going on King, Queen, and Kaido, that if you use a damage dealing special, Queen will actually give you an attack buff to powerhouse characters, so you can actually put that on King to get the auto trigger just with himself. And King is actually an orb booster for powerhouse characters on Queen or Kaido, as long as you use a special. So they are very, very, very powerful units. If you do summon for them and you do manage to pick up one, I would recommend going for Queen over King, just because, like, Queen's that little bit better. But at the end of the day, most of the time you will be running them as, like, hybrid options. With King, you have other orb boosters for powerhouse driven. You have stuff like Akainu, who's very, very good, where the dex classing and sort of the dex or driven powerhouse, they sort of struggle for attack boosts. So Queen is sort of like your go-to. And like I said, these characters have a lot of viability as subs, mainly because they give you the special rewinds, they have fear resistance in their kit, and they can actually do a lot for the team, being an attack booster, an orb booster, and then the carryover effects. They're just very, very good units. And as good as they are, though, I would highly recommend skipping the banner. The banner is absolute dookie. It is not a good banner whatsoever. The structure is terrible. They're guaranteed on, like, 30 multiples. And I would highly recommend staying away from the banner if you guys possibly can. But if you do summon and you do manage to pick up one of these units, be very, very happy, because they are very, very strong. And if you do pick them up in the future, definitely give them a go. Definitely like, play with them a little bit, because I do find them to be 2 of the most fun captains in the game at the moment on the Japanese side of the game. But that's going to wrap up the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's